Hello and welcome back to The Drag Detective. I'm Derek, and today we are going to kind of discuss some of All Stars 8. Now, the Riggery video will come next week. We'll do the Unriggery, but I also wanted to talk about something else, specifically because I think this season was a huge missed opportunity for this particular twist. It's something we've seen before, it's something that has worked for multiple seasons, and I think because of how well the cast did on this season, it would have worked really, really well here, and that is the top two format. Now, something that I find kind of strange about this season is usually the seasons where the cast are all, like, across the board doing a fantastic job in the competition, those are usually the seasons that are most beloved by fans. I'm thinking about season 14, I'm thinking about season 12, All-Star 6, like, when there's not, like, catastrophic flops left and right, and, like, everyone is doing a really good job, everyone feels like they're owning their spot in the competition, they deserve their spot, they've earned it. It just makes for a better viewing experience. And something about All Stars 8, which I will give it credit for, is the cast knocked the season out of the park. Very rarely did we have like a flop in the challenges, especially once we get to the second half of the season. But even before that, so you have queens like Jessica and Jimbo and Lala Ri and Alexis Michelle who are consistently doing really, really well, but because there's only one winner each week, their track records just don't really show it. But I mean, if you look at the top three's track records, it's literally like high wins, high. Like, they were constantly all in the top doing well. So I wanted to look at what this season would have looked like if it was the top two format. We're going to do it in two ways. We're going to do it in the rigged way and the unrigged way. So we're going to show, based off the judges' critiques, what would that have looked like, and then based off my own personal thoughts and feelings, which might not reflect yours, and that's okay. And we can discuss that in the comments. I'm trying to tread very carefully with this season and how I talk about it because there's so much hate online this season. It's so much, and we say that every single year, but like, this one, it just feels like there's a lot. And I think it's because it's a season that people aren't necessarily like happy with. They feel like they have more freedom to like bash the queens and like blame the queens and tear apart the queens, and it's just I'm trying to not have that happen here on my channel, so I'm trying to do as best as I can to, like, even though I do have issues with the season, talk about it from a more positive perspective so that it doesn't brew more hate in like my comments section. The prayer circle is going for that. We have the Tovlo record that I just got, thank you to my friend Abby for getting that on sale, and we have Target's fall candles, which, if you follow my like personal Instagram or my personal Twitter, I'm a Halloween hoe. I'm a horror movie fanatic. I want it to be fall 24 hours a day, 365. I just got back from a trip to Salem. Like, I hate summer. And this candle right here, this is showing me that there's hope. And as long as this candle is in my Target, I'm happy. Because I know fall is literally right around the corner. So all of my horrors out there, like, let's just unite and take comfort in this. So thank you to Miss Heritage Pumpkin, and we are going to break it down. So starting off with the very first episode, we have the girl groups, but there's more to this episode. And usually I would not count a mini challenge with the main challenge unless the mini challenge does not have a winner, because that just means that it is like lumped together. And specifically in this episode, they critique everything. Their first two runways, which they have to do an old Hollywood and a new Hollywood, or like famous then, famous now. And then their third runway look is famous forever, which is like their elevated drag. So all of those things came into account when I was picking my top two, and then when I was looking at the judges' critiques. So when I was watching back all of these critiques, I really just went for, like, you can kind of tell first, second, and third, just like based on how enthusiastic they are and how many judges they cut to. Because for some high girls, they'll show Michelle. They always start with Michelle. And then they'll show, like, Ross or the guest judge. But if they showed all three, and sometimes also Ru, then, like, you know that they're probably above the person who only got, like, two judges' critiques. So I looked for things like that. And from this first episode, I think if the judges made this a top two, they would have picked Kahana Montrese, the winner of the challenge, and their second pick would have been Alexis Michelle. I'm trying not to get too much into like the riggery and like the weird judging, because that will be next week's adventure. But this episode is really weird with like what they do and who they pick. But it's very clear that like Alexis and Kahana were the only two that got across the board great critiques. James is kind of in the top, but like also kind of in the bottom. Like it's kind of unclear. I think it's more top than bottom, but she's definitely like way behind Alexis and Kahana. So Kahana obviously wins this challenge, like hands down. Alexis, I think, is consistent. And with so many things like coming into play with the placements, I mean, 3 runways and a performance, I think all 3 of her runways were great, and I think her performance was great. So that consistency, I think, is kind of what pushed her ahead for the judges. And for this, I think it makes sense that she would be in the top 2. So just for funsies, we're going to say if they had to lip sync to that week's lip sync song, who would have won? So the lip sync was Freakum Dress by Beyonce. We saw Kahana do it. Could Alexis beat her? No. Now, for me personally, if I had to pick a top 2, obviously I would pick Kahana. But my second pick was between 2 people. It was between Lala Ri and Jessica Wilde. And what really broke the tie for me was that consistency. Jessica has really solid runways across the board. Are they like next level like Jimbos in this episode? No, but they're all good. And I mean, her Nefertiti look is like next level. So that's good. And then in the challenge, she's just really fun. She shows off her personality. She shows off her vocal range, and she's just really a standout. I think Lala Ri stands out more though in the girl groups. Unfortunately for Lala, I think she does kind of have a miss with her Ruli fans look, which I didn't understand for like literally the longest time. And because of that, I don't think she can be top 2. Because although I do think she was better in the girl group, Jessica was just across the board, I think, higher average. I think that one look by Lala was really bad, so it really drags her average down. So I would choose Jessica. And then between Kahana and Jessica, who's winning to Freakum Dress? It's going to be Kahana. I mean, this is just like right up her alley. Jessica, I think she could do a really good job, but like this was Kahana in her element. Now, for episode 2, it is the RDR Live, the SNL spoof, and this is a challenge where I think almost everybody did a really, really good job. The bottom 2 of that episode, which were Kahana and Naysha, were literally the 2 exceptions. And I think everyone else did a solid job. And, you know, we still have 11 queens left. So for there to be 9 who I think all did a good job, I mean, it just proved to me right off the bat just like how talented this cast was. So the top 2 for the judges, going in, I thought it was going to be Jimbo and Heidi. But when you really look at the critiques, it would have been Jimbo and James. Jimbo won the challenge. They were obsessed with her. All of that. James got really good critiques and consistent critiques across the board from all of the judges, which Heidi didn't get. Heidi's critiques were kind of shorter. They were positive for sure. I mean, she was definitely in the top, but they were like swooning over James Mansfield in this challenge and on the runway. And especially like hearing from the guest judge who was like, "You're hilarious, like you're so funny, you know exactly who you are," like all of those things I think just cemented her here. So the lip sync song for this week was She Bop by Cyndi Lauper, which I love that song. And could James beat Jimbo in this lip sync? Yes, I do think James would beat Jimbo in this lip sync. So that would have been a really good moment for James if we were in that reality, but we aren't. So we'll just move on to my picks. And mine are completely different, like completely different. And we'll go into all of this in the Riggery video, but I think this whole challenge was judged insanely. So my picks for the top 2 were Heidi and Mrs. Kasha Davis. So Heidi N Closet, she's one of the like Weekend Update correspondents, and she just has really good content to work with. I think they had like probably the strongest material, her and Lala. And Lala was not as good as Heidi because Heidi was like in her element. And especially when she's volleying with like Kahana, who's like struggling, like, and Heidi still manages to keep the energy up and land her punchlines. Like, I think that was a really, really good performance from Heidi. Kasha Davis was my favorite in this challenge. She played Barb, that like lesbian in Jimbo and Jessica's skit. And she's so funny. She also is in the cold open with Kandy and kind of steals the show there as well. Now, the thing that I know people are going to say is like, Kasha's runway was bad. And what I'll say to that is, so was Heidi's. and I don't really care. I'm still picking them. I still think they were the best of the week, and they deserve to be in the top 2, even if their runways I was not the biggest fan of. But to be honest, I prefer Kasha's to Heidi's, and call me crazy, call me whatever you need to. That's how I feel. Now, who would win in a lip sync to She Bop between Kasha and Heidi? I mean, Kasha's a great lip syncer. I think better than people like to give her credit for, but Heidi's gonna win this lip sync. Okay, so for episode 3, it is the supermarket ball. And much like the last episode, my top 2 is completely different from the show's. Now, from the show's perspective, Jessica won, so she's going to be in the top. And I think that the other person they would pick is Jimbo. So Kandy's in the top, but they kind of have an issue with Kandy, like, repeating silhouettes. But Jimbo got, like, pretty good critiques across the board. So I think that would be their pick. And who would win in Coconuts? Jessica versus Jimbo. This is Jimbo. I mean, it's Jimbo. Like, Jessica did a fantastic job, but, like, I feel like this song was on the season for Jimbo, and, I mean, let's just be real, Jimbo can out-breastplate Jessica any single day, and, like, that's what Ru was looking for in a performance to Coconuts. So, like, this could have been a good moment for Jimbo if she was able to win this challenge and, like, lip-sync to this song, but, like, the stars just didn't align, but Jimbo would have won. Sorry, Jessica. Now, my picks for the Supermarket Ball are 2 queens who were safe, and that's just, you know, I'm like stopping myself because I want to like explain for like 30 years, but like we're not there yet. I picked Heidi N Closet and Kahana Montrese. Now, Heidi and Kahana, I think, had a lot of consistency in their looks. Specifically, the first 2, I think all 4 of those are like iconic looks. And then for their design looks that they made, I think they were some of the strongest. And so Jessica, who won the challenge, I think has one look that is amazing with the Fruit Loops, one look that is really good with her acai, and then one look which is, I've seen it before many, many times and I was bored, which was her design look, which was really just things glued to a corset. Now, I think she did that better than Jimbo, because Jimbo also just kind of glued stuff to a corset, but you know, she had some shapes, she had some stuff, like, you know, that made it exciting, but at the end of the day, I just preferred what Kahana and Heidi did, and I thought that their first 2 looks in the episode justified them being in the top over Jessica, who kind of let me down with that 3rd look. So, who would win in a lip sync of Coconuts between Heidi and Kahana? I feel like it's going to be Heidi. I think that they're both iconic lip syncers, some of the best the show's ever seen, but Kahana just has this kind of, like, fierceness and this like fire when she lip syncs. I've never seen her do kind of like a comedy number. I'm not sure if that's in her wheelhouse. We know that Heidi, you know, could do comedy and can be silly and stupid, and I think that she would lean into this like hardcore camp moment, and I think it would be very, very good. I think it could be a double win, but if I had to give the edge to someone, it would be Heidi N Closet. So next up we have the improv challenge, or I guess the commercial challenge, where they made their little skits for their movies, or maybe their TV shows. I don't remember. But in the episode, we saw Team Jimbo all in the top, and then Team Alexis all in the bottom, and that's when Alexis threw Darian under the bus. It was a very iconic episode. So because the top 3 was all from the same team, it was kind of hard to choose. I mean, Jimbo won the challenge. She's going to be in the top for the judges. But Kandy and Jessica were kind of just there in the sketch. I mean, that sketch was really all about highlighting Jimbo, and then Kandy and Jessica were just kind of like there in the scenes because they kind of like had to be. But I think it was a little bit difficult to figure out who was going to win. I think that Kandy got better critiques with the runway. Jessica kind of was like, oh yeah, your runway's good, we don't like your makeup. Kandy was like, we love your runway, you're really funny. So I think I'm going to give the edge to Kandy Muse. So we have Jimbo versus Kandy Muse to Bad Reputation, and Kandy's gonna body. Like, Kandy's gonna win that hands down. So for my end, I do think Jimbo was the best of the episode. She's still in my top 2, but I would judge this not in teams because I think that there was people who were good and bad in each team. And my other favorite was in the safe team, and that is Heidi N Closet. She went so stupid, so ugly. It was very like Asia O'Hara in the Butterface moment. And then on the runway, which was Ask the World Turns, to do this like Eeyore donkey look was just like so funny and so kitschy, but she also looked so adorable. So I think Heidi did a really, really good job in this episode. And for the 3rd week in a row for me, she would have been in my top 2. So who would win in that lip sync between Jimbo and Heidi to Bad Reputation? I think it's probably Heidi, but like Jimbo did a good job in this lip sync. Like I would give Jimbo the win in this over Chanel, to be honest with you. I do think Heidi is just a stronger lip syncer in general, so she would probably do a good job. But like Jimbo would probably put up more of a fight than like normally she would. So episode 5 is the Snatch Game, and unlike these past couple of episodes where like I've had a very different opinion than the show, this one had a very, very obvious top 2, and that was Jimbo and James Mansfield. They were so funny as Shirley Temple and Jennifer Coolidge, and I was just so happy to finally have a good Jennifer Coolidge Snatch Game. So thank you so much, James Mansfield, for that. So they're going to lip sync to Hallucinate. And I think this would be a struggle bus, to be completely honest with you. I think it'd be a struggle bus. But I think that James would win. Because, like, Jimbo literally, like, slips in, like, the first 3 seconds. And, like, James, I think, could at least stand on her own 2 feet for, like, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So I'm gonna give it to James, but I think that would be... It's just not their song, you know what I mean? Like, neither of them are doing Dua Lipa at their shows, and, like, I don't need to see them do Dua Lipa particularly either. Okay, so for episode 6, this is the Rusical, which is another challenge that everybody does really good. And, like, kind of going back, in the ball, everyone at least had one good look, one, like, really good look. In the commercials, even the worst team, Darian and Alexis and James, like, they would have been safe in a lot of other seasons. In the Snatch Game, Kahana was the worst, but she landed a few jokes. It wasn't like a complete train wreck. And now we're kind of getting to the stretch where like everybody is doing really, really well. Starting with this Rusical, where at the top 7, they all knock it out of the park. And I wish they would have just made this a non-elimination round, and then we could, you know, not have the top 2 thing. Like, because I really don't think any of them deserve to go home here. So for the top 2 in the judges' mind, I think it would have been Kandy and Jessica. Lala, they really just didn't vibe with her runway. And because everyone did really well in the Rusical, it kind of came down to those little things for me to like decipher. So I think it would be Kandy and Jessica. Now, Kandy actually won the episode doing the no wire hangers. And then Jessica did the, like, bring me the axe moment. So, you know, they had these, like, amazing roles that, like, of course they were going to knock out of the park. And for the lip sync that week, it was I'm Not Perfect, But I'm Perfect for You by Grace Jones. And Kandy won it, and I think she would still win it against Jessica. I think this is just kind of like, this is right up Kandy's alley. So I think that she would kind of have that edge over Jessica. And Jessica's an amazing lip syncer, and I know I haven't been, like, giving her the wins. I just feel like she's, like, put in these songs where, like, the other person is just, like, this song is made for them. So, like, it's just harder for her to, like, stand out, and I think that would kind of happen to her here. Now, for me, I don't care about Lala's runway. I actually think it's really cute, and I don't know what the judges were necessarily, like, expecting, but I thought Lala did so good in this challenge. She does, like, the Mildred Pierce moment where she's, like, slapping bitches and voguing, and the song is really fun, and it's just, like, Lala is just, like, so good. So I would put her in the top over Jessica personally, and I think that she would win the lip sync. I think that she would beat Kandy to this Grace Jones song, because, like, Kandy, this is, like, definitely her vibe, but this is even more Lala's vibe. This is, like, right in Lala's wheelhouse. She probably does this song. Like, so I think Lala would win in that scenario. Now, episode 7 is the Forensic Queens, like, unsolved mystery, snapped on oxygen show moments. And I love this challenge. And again, they all do a good job. Alexis and Kahana are in the bottom, and I think that they're, like, not laugh out loud funny, but I think that they're both, like, good and would have been safe in many other seasons. But for me, the top 2 is very obvious, I think, from the show's perspective and for mine. And that is Lala Ri and Jessica Wilde. And this is one of those challenges where it's like, I wish we had that top 2 format, because to me, Lala and Jessica both 1000% deserved to win. Now, I do think Lala, like, just edged out a little bit, but, like, they both did so well. I mean, Lala is so funny as the security guard who, like, killed Little Pound Cake. And then I think about Jessica as, like, that was weird to me. Like, I think about that every day of my life since.
That was weird for me.
That's just one of my favorite performances of the whole season, to be honest with you. Her, like, making this, like, very serious speech about how, like, she would never leave her her ETB card because it's Taco Tuesday. She gets those, like, soft shell tacos, and she wants the extra guacamole, but she doesn't want to really pay for it. I was like, oh my gosh, she is, like, a genius. I mean, she understood what that challenge was doing, like, what the vibe was, and, like, she nailed it. I wish Jessica won. But I'm not mad that Lala Ri won because Lala Ri deserves to win as well. So this would have just been the perfect universe. And what would happen in the lip sync? It's to About Damn Time by Lizzo. And again, I think that, like, this is just like this is a Lala Ri song. Like, this song is so Lala coded. And I think Jessica could do a really good job, but I just think Lala kind of ate it up. So I think Lala's going to win over Jessica. I'm sorry, Jessica. I do think you're a good lip syncer, I promise. Okay, episode 8 is the second design challenge where they're making outfits based off of previous All-Star winners. So Alexis Michelle gets her moment here. She stuns in this blue gown. She looks incredible. And everyone else kind of was varying levels of like, except for Jimbo. Jimbo did such a good job with this weird, wackadoodle, Trixie Mattel-inspired look. And I think Jimbo would, for sure, be that second top 2 placement. So they're lip syncing to My Boots Are Made for Walkin', and I think that Jimbo could like fare better in this song than like some of the other songs that she got this season, but I still think Alexis did a really, really good job, and I think Alexis would win. So now we're at episode 9, and it's the roast, and this is another one where everyone did a good job. Even in the design challenge, the bottom 2 is Lala and Kandy. And, like, are their looks fantastic? No, but they're not boogers. They're not, like, you know, we've seen some bad design challenge looks, and they were both, I think, fine. Unoffensive to the eyes. So, for the roast, everyone does good, yet again, and I think that the top 2 is very obviously, though, Jimbo and Jessica. And I think that, I'm so sorry, Jessica, but you're going to lose again, because this song was literally put there for Jimbo to win, this Freakazoid song. And Jimbo does her, like, character from the last talent show. It all just comes together for Jimbo. So I think Jimbo would win this lip sync. Again, this is a challenge that, like, Jessica did so good. I wish she would have gotten her flowers here, because she goes home in the next episode, the makeover. And, like, I don't really think there could be a top 2, because, like, there's only 3 people left. But, like, I think that Jessica was probably the worst of that episode, with just all the factors combined, and we have a long conversation about that on the Rigged Recap podcast. I did that episode with Shazi from TikTok, and we really got into, like, the fine details of that, like, makeover. I do think Jessica was probably the worst. So it would have been Kandy and Jimbo. Then at the talent show, I agree that it was Lala and James, and we saw what happened with that lip sync. I do think if they had all been able to compete, it probably would have been Lala and Jimbo. And then Lala still wins to Rain on Me. So like, that's our whole season. But, like, I'm looking at this list, at least for me, it's interesting to look at the shows and to look at mine, because mine has, like, way more Jessica. Heidi's in there a bunch, but the show is, like, all Jimbo and Jessica, and, like, some Kandy thrown in there. And I have more, like, Lala. So, like, I feel like maybe I didn't, like, feel that Jimbo did as well as maybe the judges did at times. And then, like, Heidi obviously didn't really get any flowers, and I would have given her all the flowers for the episodes that she was there for. So it's different for sure. There's definitely those episodes where it's just kind of undeniable. But, you know, tomorrow is the finale. This video will be going up tomorrow, so I'm sure we will have all kinds of thoughts, and I'm already halfway through the script for the riggery of All Stars 8, and it's definitely kind of a wild ride, and I had a lot of fun doing this one because Naysha Lopez Don't Come For Me, but, like, so much came out about this season through the Roscoe's viewing parties, through Twitter, and it really felt like there was what we saw on the screen and what actually happened were very different stories. So I really can't wait to kind of get into all of that, and, you know, I have, like, basically, like, my own tea checker of, like, all of the behind the scenes stuff, so I'm excited to break that all down. And I think it's gonna be a really good riggery episode because of that, because, like, there's not, like, the most riggery I've ever seen in my life, but all of the riggery has, like, a storyline behind it. Like, there's, like, reasons for everything. It's not just me sitting there like, I don't know why the judges did this, they just like this queen. It's like, no, there's definitely reasons for a lot of this. So I'm excited to get into it all. Also, I'm blowing up. I'm really going to explode because I'm so excited for Drag Duel. We have our final cast. They are so good. They come from all over the world, all different kinds of drag expression, drag gender, drag everything. And I'm so excited to bring a series to YouTube that highlights forms of drag that we don't get to see on Drag Race. That was really what I set out to do with this, and something that me and Bootsy and Zelda all really wanted to like nail down when we were casting. So I'm very pleased with this cast. I'm so excited. The promo will drop August 7th, and our first episode will air August 14th. So we are less than a month away. The judges' promos are going to drop even before that. And are you ready to see me turn a look? Because I'm ready to turn a look. I'm going for like this camp, fun vibe for my promo. I'm getting it all together. I'm going to be stoning things. I mean, I am very excited. I won't be in drag, in like any kind of female illusion. I'm just going to be in a heightened Derek moment. And I'm very excited. It's going to be really, really fun. And if you are not subscribed to Drag Duel on YouTube, go subscribe now and turn on the notifications so that you know when the promos drop. I'm very excited for you to meet all of these contestants and give you this little thing I've been working on now for like 2 months. So it's kind of really exciting. The rigged recap, I have Kayla Says on for this finale, and then it will be kind of going into hiatus until season 16 comes around so that I can just kind of really focus on Drag Duel. But obviously this channel will be alive and well. We have plenty of content. I will be getting into Drag Race Down Under 2. I will be getting into Drag Race Canada 2 and 3. I mean, there's a lot of seasons we're going to be covering in the next couple of months. So I'm very, very excited. And to anybody who is watching, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe and help me get to that 75K. I would very much appreciate it. The links to all of my social medias will be in the description below. And watch out next week, probably early next week, for the riggery of All Stars 8. It will be a really, really good one. So thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.